Coming up, we find out how Tzu Chi volunteers in Germany help refugees adapt to their new living environment. We learn how working at the Jing Books and Cafe in Malaysia has changed Zhang Renhao. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Mary Lee. Thank you for joining us. Germany is the final destination for many refugees from the Middle East and Africa. But for the lucky ones that do make it there, challenges remain as they don't speak the language and are in an unfamiliar environment. We now take you to Germany to see what Tzu Chi volunteers are doing to help make the transition easier for these refugees.
Crossing the sea and traveling for thousands of miles, these refugees are looking for a safe haven. But their trials are far from over, even if they do arrive at their destination.
They told me that no one wants to talk to them. They are treated as outsiders, and no one wants to get close to them. Some of them don't dare to go out all day long.
Munich, Germany is typically just a relay point for these refugees. Chen Shuwei from Taiwan was once an alien here as well and can fully empathize with the refugees. As she lives very close to the refugee shelter, she's always on standby.
Maybe their children have trouble adapting or have fallen ill, so they will call me at night or early in the morning. That's why I always keep my cell phone right next to me. I am on standby 24/7.
6 months ago, Tzu Chi volunteers got in touch with the country's social welfare department and teamed up with other charities to care for the country's refugees. In Zost, about 600 kilometers to the north, another Tzu Chi volunteer is hard at work with the refugees.
But life in a camp is monotonous. They seldom have the chance to interact with the outside world. So I actually asked them whether they want to come visit my home.
Empathizing with the refugee situation, Zhang decided to hire several of them to work for his company.
Though their asylum status has not yet been granted, if I'm willing to offer them a job, I can still apply to the refugee center and tell the officials that I want to hire these refugees.
Zhang also asked a teacher to go teach German at the camp.
We asked the teacher to go teach at the camp instead of having the refugees come out to attend the lessons. We try to group those that speak the same language together. If a class has refugees from 2 to 3 different countries, we will try to designate an English TA among each group.
Though there are less than 100 Tzu Chi volunteers in Germany, while there are hundreds of thousands of refugees, by taking action, things are bound to change.
In the beginning, some refugees just weren't very grateful, and you can't understand why. But after a while, they began to change and reciprocate, which makes you feel really happy.
In Lesotho, Tzu Chi volunteers have held winter relief distributions since 1995 to help the poor get through the winter months. This relay of love continues this year as Tzu Chi volunteers held a total of 26 rice distributions to benefit some 8,000 impoverished families. Here in Lesotho, a truck is traveling towards the mountain region of Manyaki. Today, Tzu Chi volunteers are here to distribute rice from Taiwan to 515 impoverished households from 20 villages. Filled with farming communities, Lesotho is a landlocked country filled with an abundance of fertile soil. However, over half of the population still lives below the poverty line. To offer a helping hand, Tzu Chi volunteers hold winter relief distributions each year.
Thank you, Tzu Chi, for gifting us with this rice. This makes us feel like royalty.
Thanks to the help of the local volunteers, in just 3 months, Tzu Chi held a total of 26 rice distributions to the delight of 8,000 recipient families.
In the early days, the Tzu Chi Foundation started with a group of housewives who donated 50 cents a day to help the needy. Everyone can do the same.
We love you! Having seen the selfless givings of the Tzu Chi volunteers, local residents learned that giving holds an even greater joy than receiving.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Residents of the 5 villages in Zonei brought pumpkins to share with us.
Heading home with a bag of rice on their heads, the local residents' steps are light and brisk as they look forward to a great meal. On September 9th, the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital kicked off an art exhibition featuring paintings by 3 mouth and foot painting artists. The hospital hopes that the spirit of determination and joy that shines through every one of the paintings will serve as an inspiration for those patients and families still struggling with illness or physical disability.
Mouth and foot painting artist Jing Qingdong lost his arms and left leg to an accident when he was just 40. Recuperating at Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital, he met Tzu Chi volunteer Yan Huimei, who encouraged him to start painting under famous mouth and foot painting artist Xie Kunsan.
Holding a brush in your mouth is far from easy. When teacher Xie first taught them, everyone dropped the brushes.
Sometimes, if I'm in a bad mood and stuck, I will just stop painting. If I hit a bottleneck, I will just stop where I am. Sometimes I need to stop for a month or 2. For the month of September, Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital is exhibiting the paintings of 3 mouth and foot painting artists. The hospital hopes the exhibit will inspire other patients not to give up on life. For those that still have the use of their hands and feet, you should do good things with those hands and walk a good life with those feet. Only then are you making best use of them. All 3 artists had to overcome major obstacles to be where they are today. And in their artwork, one sees that determination, as well as their continued love of life.
Despite their disabilities, they draw so beautifully. There's no hate or rancor in them. This is something that they should be applauded for.
The paintings, which range from pastoral settings to self-portraits, will be on exhibit at Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital's first floor outpatient area until the end of September, with the exhibition open to patients and the public alike.
Dengue fever is transmitted by mosquitoes infected with the dengue virus. However, when an infected person travels around and is then bitten by a mosquito without the virus, that mosquito will then become a carrier and then infect more people. We now learn more about how the disease spreads and what can be done to contain the ongoing outbreaks in Taiwan. Dark and moist corners such as ditches are most suitable for mosquitoes and their larvae. As Taiwan is subtropical in climate, all areas south of the Tropic of Cancer are currently experiencing or are at the risk of experiencing dengue fever outbreaks. Experts say mosquito population is dependent on temperature.
In winter, when temperatures drop below 18 degrees Celsius, basically both Aedes albopictus and Aedes aegypti will become dormant. However, the former can better survive in lower temperatures.
Studies show for every 1 degree Celsius above 18 degrees, the mosquito population will increase 10 times. A female mosquito can lay about 100 to 200 eggs, which will hatch in 7 to 10 days. But due to global warming, dengue fever outbreaks have been pushing northward.
The population density of Aedes albopictus is pretty high to the north, so we need to be on our guard. Last year, there was a brief dengue outbreak in Tokyo, while in Guangdong, China, a record high of some 40,000 people were infected.
The spread of the disease is not simply due to mosquito migration. Human activity also plays a vital role. Due to ease of transportation, people can move through different areas very quickly. And with schools in Taiwan starting in September, the chance of cross-infection has increased.
Those that have been infected will become contagious 4 days after being bitten. So in Tainan, we saw that it was humans who helped the virus migrate to other areas.
Experts say that ultimately it is the mosquitoes that spread the disease, and thus controlling mosquito population is the best way to contain future outbreaks. Suffering from hepatitis B since young, 58-year-old Su Mingzhi found out 3 years ago that his liver had further developed a tumor and cirrhosis, to the point where a transplant surgery was the only viable option. Hoping not to worry their children, he and his wife hid the diagnosis. In the end, however, the entire family was able to cope with the problem together, which brought them closer together.
黃金果啊有，火龍果啊。 米白啊，有，這米白，這柑啊。
Taking a stroll through his fruit farm, 58-year-old Su Mingzhi shows off his prized possessions. It was also here that he discovered how priceless a healthy body and the love of family really are.
I was quite depressed because I was suffering from a hepatic tumor and cirrhosis.
Suffering from liver problems, Su Mingzhi couldn't hide his mood from his daughter, no matter how hard he tried, as she was quite sensitive to his mood swings.
Whenever the youngest would come home, she'd ask me what was wrong with her dad. However, I just tried to put on a brave face and say, I'll let you know after you've given birth. He's fine.
When I was doing my postnatal care, my dad didn't visit me at all. Whenever my mother did visit, I'd ask her, where's dad? She would say he sends his wishes. No, I felt there must be something wrong.
Finally, finding out the problem and solution, all 3 of Su Mingzhi's children were willing to donate their liver. However, the best match was the youngest daughter, so Su Yuting began preparations for the procedure a month after she gave birth.
It was so hard on me. On the one hand, there was my daughter, and on the other hand was my husband. I had such mixed emotions. After the surgery, my daughter asked where she was. I replied that she was in the recovery room. She nodded and understood that she had completed the donation. Then she asked after her father, to which I replied, he's still in surgery. She didn't cry when they gave her the shots, just vomited. I couldn't bear to see her like that though. My son-in-law pushed her into surgery, and I pushed my husband. They were both crying as they entered the operating room. My husband was upset that he had to trouble his daughter while she was crying because she was so moved.
The liver operations began at 8 in the morning and ended successfully 10 hours later. The father-daughter pair now has cause to fondly remember their time together. Though having a different blood type than her father, Su Yuting was still able to successfully donate 55% of her liver to her father.
After the surgery, my dad's mood lifted. He was often worried and stressed before. We were scared too, as we weren't sure if he was just going to leave us suddenly. I didn't want that to happen, so I didn't think about it much. I knew I had to do what I could to help. I'm glad that I was able to donate my liver to my dad.
A year has passed since the operation, and Yuting doesn't regret her decision to have the major surgery, as she had the full support of her husband and children.
Dad, your health means the world to us, so don't worry about the surgery too much. I will take good care of Tintin so that you can concentrate on taking care of yourself.
In the aftermath of the surgery, Su Yuting's only hope is that her father can say goodbye to his pain and suffering for good and live out the rest of his days in peace.
Moving our focus to Malaysia, we meet a staff member of the Jing Books and Cafe in Johor Bahru, whose idea of work has changed since he started working at the cafe. Zhang Renhao used to see work as something he did for money, but he has now come to value work as a way to contribute to society instead. Currently, he is undergoing volunteer training and is ready to become a committed Tzu Chi volunteer.
Early in the morning, Zhang Renhao begins his busy day riding a bike.
I
rode a motorcycle when I first began working here. Then I read From Austerity to Prosperity, written by Master Jing, and was inspired to get rid of it.
29-year-old Zhang used to see work as simply something one did to make a living. But one day that changed.
A job can be work we do in exchange for money, but it can also be something we do to contribute to society.
Seeing work as a way to benefit others, Zhang started working at the Jing Books and Cafe in Johor Bahru 2 years ago.
He loves to read, so he is able to talk about the books sold there. He can talk with customers on various topics, and this is what we expect the staff members of Jing Books and Cafe to do.
Zhang is now undergoing Tzu Chi volunteer training, ready to work and live for a good cause.
He is very hardworking. He shares Dharma teachings with customers at work, visits care recipients, and does recycling after work.
I hope the Jing Books and Cafe will continue to serve the public over the next 15 years, and I hope I will be able to serve here for many more years to come.
Combining work with his mission of spreading Tzu Chi's principles, Zhang will continue to do his best to promote inspirational books that benefit both the mind and body.
In our next report, we meet 64-year-old Tzu Chi volunteer Chen Yating from Singapore. Despite her age, Chen continues to work 4 days a week, and when not at work, she is busy looking after the elderly in her neighborhood or the recycling points at her building. Chen shows that regardless of one's age, when it comes to doing something for society, all it takes is a little love and determination.
4 days a week, 64-year-old Chen Yating walks up and down the streets of her neighborhood, selling the over 20 kilograms of lactic acid drinks that she carries behind her.
I am still strong and can still work, so of course I continue. I will work until I am physically unable to.
Hard work has given Yating the fortitude to face tough times, as well as the compassion to give back to society.
After taking out the small money I made, the 5-cent coins I put in here. Something small like this I can do. By donating a little at a time, I can help others.
In her spare time, Chen Yating also looks after the elderly in her neighborhood.
She's very compassionate and caring. Whenever we need something, she's there to help.
In 2000, Chen Yating opened a recycling point on the first floor of her building as a way to get more of her neighbors to recycle.
We're doing our best to protect the earth resources. Part of that is also educating the next generation on the importance of this.
Good things should be done together. Spreading this message, we can get everyone involved. That will make society a better place.
Taking advantage of every opportunity to give, Chen Yating is slowly but surely strengthening the bonds of love here in Singapore.
For the past 9 years, Fuding Hospital in Fujian, China has hosted seminars to welcome new staff members and help introduce Tzu Chi's humanitarian spirit into the workplace. This year, the staff members took on the role of organizing the event themselves and learned much in the process. As a part of the welcoming ceremony, new doctors receive a stethoscope, while nurses pin hats on new nursing staff and all make a vow.
The patient's health and well-being is my first priority.
For the past 9 years, Fuding Hospital has held this annual event to welcome in new hospital staff. These events help to pass on the humanitarian spirit needed for this unique hospital.
Take the lessons you have learned here back with you. I believe many patients are eagerly waiting for you. You will not be troubled by them if you apply the lessons you have learned here.
This is also the first year that medical staff took part in preparing the activities for the event, and they learned much from performing the kneeling lamb.
If we aren't fulfilling our filial duties towards our parents, then how can we be expected to have enough love to care for our patients?
Tzu Chi volunteers have long partnered with Fujian's Fuding Hospital to help staff better understand the importance of a humanitarian spirit when providing medical care.
把病人放在我的心上，惦记他们。
会更加懂得去尊重别人，
尽自己所能帮病人减轻痛苦。
The new staff members also attended home visitations alongside the Tzu Chi volunteers.
I have realized there are people out there in the world that are suffering. I live a fortunate life.
Realizing their riches, the medical staff understands they must relieve their patients' suffering with a compassionate heart.
We want them to live with a compassionate heart. When they return to their posts and help their patients, they can further spread these ideals to their patients.
To celebrate the lunar month of July, Tzu Chi volunteers held celebrations around the city of Hong Kong. During each event, the volunteers encouraged participants to start a vegetarian diet, refrain from burning joss paper, and guided everyone in prayer for the refugees now facing an uncertain future in Europe.
In Hong Kong's Ting Shui Wai, Tzu Chi volunteers are holding a vegetarian feast. Hong Kong is considered one of the world's culinary capitals, but vegetarian options are limited. These volunteers are hoping to change that.
They prepared the food in an environmentally friendly way. It also tasted great. Thank you.
Volunteers also ask participants to consider giving up the tradition of burning joss paper.
Burning joss paper is a waste of money. Burning more doesn't mean that the Buddha will protect you. It doesn't work that way.
Volunteers discuss how to use that money to instead help others through donations to bamboo banks.
In the future, any spare change we have, we will put in these banks so as to help others.
While at the Tzu Chi DaAi liaison office, one young vegetarian shares his story.
When my mom was pregnant with me, she was already refraining from meat.
Zhang Wei spent over a week getting his presentation ready in an effort to clear up any misconceptions about vegetarianism.
I know many parents are worried that a vegetarian diet is not nutritious enough, but that is not true. Look at me, I'm very healthy.
Tzu Chi volunteers hope the public will come to learn the true meaning behind the 7th lunar month.
By not burning joss paper, we are helping the environment by not creating air pollution or garbage.
At the end of the event, everyone comes together to offer their prayers for the thousands of refugees now facing an uncertain future in Europe.
In the United States, Tzu Chi volunteers in Southern California recently held a hot meal event at Wallen L. Andrews Elementary School in Whittier for 14 of the school's needy family. The volunteers also took the opportunity to share with these families the benefits of vegetarianism. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.